Welcome back to another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, Kay Well, today, man, we got to talk about one of the Browns insiders, Kay Cabot. She's trying to change the narrative, and now I think she's trying to switch sides and say good things about Shedeur Sanders because we heard what Mary Kay has said in the past. But we're going to unpack all that here next, here on the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Well, guys, man, I'm here to tell you, man, there's a lot of narratives surrounding around Shedeur Sanders about what he is and what he ain't. Now, we heard all through training camp and practice that Shedeur Sanders is not ready. Shedeur Sanders has a lot to learn. He don't know the playbook. And what the head coaching staff with Kevin Stefanski is doing is trying to be patient and wait till Shedeur Sanders gets up to speed. Now, I've done plenty of videos talking about, I think that's asinine. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors when it comes to dealing with Shedeur Sanders, saying this and saying that. And we don't know what's true. But we all know, as people that has followed Shedeur Sanders over his journey to the NFL, from the youth league in Texas to Jackson State to HBCU and to a FBS Power 5 conference with the Colorado Buffaloes. We've seen what Shedeur Sanders is all about. We've seen how he elevates his team to wins. We've seen what he has done as a quarterback. We've seen he's led the FBS in percentage of completions of his passes at 74%. We've seen the accuracy. We've seen it all. So all the narratives that are surrounding around Shedeur Sanders when he was drafted by the Cleveland Browns, a lot of people say it's a lot of lies. We don't know who's telling the truth. Now, recently, Shedeur Sanders was promoted to quarterback 2 by head coach Kevin Stefanski. But a lot of people know, and I know myself, that wasn't a call that Kevin Stefanski wanted to make. That was a Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry call, because they are the ones that got on the phone and made the deal with Cincinnati to trade Joe Flacco. And it should have been right then and there that Shedeur Sanders was promoted to quarterback 2, but Kevin Stefanski was real hesitant on naming Shedeur quarterback 2 backup to Dillon Gabriel. Now, a lot of things that go on in practice that a lot of people haven't seen, a lot of beat writers and reporters talk about it. They talk about how special Shedeur Sanders is, how special he throws the ball, his arm talent. Now, we've heard Jerry Jeudy come out, one of the receivers, and say Shedeur Sanders throws one of the best balls in the NFL. We've heard what Myles Garrett said. We've heard what all the DBs on Cleveland has said. We heard what Greg Newsome said before he got traded. We've heard Denzel Ward. We've heard what these guys have to say. We've heard what David Njoku has to say. Now, a lot of people are coming out in that organization, on that team, saying how special Shedeur Sanders is when he's throwing that ball. And all you do is want to give your receivers and your backs a chance to catch the ball. Now, I don't know what's going on with the continuity between some of the receivers and Dillon Gabriel. You know, Dillon Gabriel is a lefty. The ball is going to spin out a little different. I don't know. But there's been a lot of drop passes, even when Joe Flacco was starting. There's been a lot of drop passes. But it seems like after yesterday's game with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dillon Gabriel's accuracy is on notice. He hit one of the receivers off the helmet. He tried to throw a red zone touchdown to David Njoku, which David Njoku was not even ready for the ball, didn't get his head turned around. Dillon threw that a little too quick. I don't know if they're on the same page. And that goes to say that everything that we're seeing in practice and all the media footage that they have been showing has been showing about Shedeur Sanders' elite ball placement and elite quarterback arm and the accuracy that Shedeur Sanders throws the ball. Now Mary Kay Cabot is trying to change the narrative and switch sides and say great things about Shedeur Sanders. I listened to Mary Kay today on ESPN Cleveland, the radio, and let's take a listen to what Mary Kay Cabot had to say.
To watch very much of practice anymore, but in the short little brief period that I do get to watch him throw, he is throwing to the practice squad guys and the backup receivers in the early part of practice. We can see it, and his elite accuracy is always on display. And not only is it just accuracy, it's the fact that he has the kind of arm talent where he can vary the ball speed, he can throw it from different arm angles, he can do a lot of things to make it a catchable ball. And I think that goes a long way. If you talk to receivers, that's what they want. They want to be able to catch the football. And that really wasn't happening this season with Joe Flacco. There were so many drops. So I think that's going to be something that they can really capitalize on when Shedeur gets in there. The fact that he'll take something off of it. You know, sometimes he's accused of not having the strongest arm in the world. Part of that is because he will definitely lob it and, you know, throw a softer pass if that's what's needed in certain situations. And he'll do whatever it takes to get it there. And that 74% accuracy, which was an FBS high, that's legit. That's not because he's, you know, not throwing it away or he's not wanting to throw the Hail Mary or whatever the case may be. That is a legit statistic.
Now, you heard what Mary Kay Cabot had to say. Now, it seems like Mary Kay Cabot is switching sides, right? Because we know earlier in the preseason and earlier in training camp, it wasn't good things coming out of Mary Kay Cabot's mouth about Shedeur Sanders. I remember there was a clip that was going around in practice with Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders, and they was throwing the ball into a net from a distance. And she said one of the quarterbacks made it in the net. Now, you was right there, and you know that that was Shedeur Sanders. So you was not giving Shedeur Sanders his prop. You was slighting him. And some of the questions that she has asked Kevin Stefanski in the media day pressers, I know she be asking the difficult questions surrounding around Shedeur Sanders, but she's just like Kevin Stefanski. She be hopscotching. She be backpedaling. So when it comes to Shedeur, you don't know what the truth is. We all know the truth, and the truth is the light of the world. And now, like I tell people, what don't come out in the wash will come out in the rinse. And I think Mary Kay Cabot has been seeing this firsthand ever since she's been on that practice facility, looking at what Shedeur Sanders is capable of doing, because the media attention is surrounded around Shedeur Sanders. Like we said, they given all this media attention to a third string quarterback at the time, but now he's a backup. So now he's relevant. But as being a third string emergency quarterback, you're not even relevant. Like I told you guys, nobody can name their third string quarterback on their, respective teams. And Mary Kay Cabot been on that facility, like she said earlier, that some of the practices they don't let you get in on. But from everything that she has seen in totality, Shedeur Sanders is that dude. And she's trying to switch sides, and she's trying to clean that narrative up. Now, she went out recently and tweeted something that I want you guys to pay attention to. Look what she tweeted. She says, Shedeur Sanders has arguably the number one trait for a QB, elite accuracy and uncanny touch. I believe QBs can significantly improve accuracy, a la Josh Allen. But Sanders is a natural in this area. So now she going out to greater lengths to tweet something out like that, and also talk about the special ability that Shedeur Sanders has as an elite quarterback with an elite arm talent, because that's all you want to do is give your receivers a chance to catch the ball, and the receivers will be happy. And that's why I think these receivers in Cleveland know that it's time to turn to Shedeur Sanders, because he has what it takes to give them an opportunity to be successful. All you want to do is put people in position to be successful. And Kevin Stefanski is not putting nobody in position to be successful on the Cleveland Browns. It's time to turn the reins over to Shedeur Sanders. Dylan Gabriel, from what we've seen in these last 2 games with Minnesota, the only thing that we can say about Dylan Gabriel, his composure. He has great composure. He don't get rattled, but he just can't make the throws that the team needs him to throw and the team needs him to make for them to be successful to get drives going. Only in the hurry up when they speed it up, when it's no huddle, when like yesterday when Pittsburgh had the game sealed, they backed off. Dylan was able to get some throws across the middle, but they wasn't for big yardage. Pittsburgh was just sitting back in the prevent. And we heard what Myles Garrett said. Myles Garrett is becoming frustrated. Now, you don't want to frustrate your number 1 defensive player. Also, the trade deadline is coming up. Names like Fanning and Njoku names have come up in trade talks. So we got to keep our eye on that. But right now, Mary Kay Cabot is trying to switch sides. And now she believes that Shedeur Sanders is the guy. But we can't let her do that. You can't have it both ways. You can't switch up. You should have came out earlier and said all this. It's too late. See, everybody wants to get credit for Shedeur's development and what they see. Can't let y'all do that. I see everybody in the comment section, #salute. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, turn your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger. Oh yeah, just in case I forgot. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It might not be for you, but it might be for them. I see everybody in the comment section, #salute. And this is going to wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, Kay Cabot. Catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
That's all, folks.